Glad to have you join us again. Business Breakfast is the show. iBrand Television is the station. Now let's get talking now. Our interview segment of the program. In January 2024, the purchasing power of Nigerians' household remained downbeat as the consumer price rose at the start of the year, increasing the likelihood that the country's central bank will raise interest rates. Latest data from the National Bureau of Statistics showed that headline inflation for January, which tracked the prices of food, energy and other commodities, rose to 29.90%. Food prices also rose sharply. The prices of staples like bread and yam rose as many shoppers sought more cost-effective alternative to feed. Just as January's food inflation rate hit 35.41%. Olayemi Cardoso, Nigerian Central Bank Governor, has repeatedly promised to tackle inflation, but he has consistently been light on details. Let's get the view of Vincent Oshoma, who is the Chief Dealer and Head of Capital Markets at Interstate Securities Limited, who is joining me now live virtually to give us more insight on this development and other burning economic issues. Vincent, good morning. It's a pleasure having you join me on the program today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
That's the first time we're speaking this year. Hope it's still safe to say Happy New Year.
It's not a place. It's still quite early. This is the second month of the year.
All right, then. Let's dive straight into the conversation. 29.90%. Does this come as a surprise to you? Despite the projection that Nigerian inflation rate will hit 30% by December last year. What's your thought on this?
Yeah, it's not surprising because when you look at, if you go out and you look at what is happening in the country, it's not surprising it was projected, but it's just that it's alarming when you look at the rate keeps increasing, and you don't see they don't seem to be respite at the moment, because when you look at the prices of things going up, the naira, the exchange rate still rising, which is one of the major push for these inflation figures. So that is, makes it very alarming, asking where do we go from here? Because there have been several talks about, like you mentioned, the CBN, the government talking about trying to tackle inflation, but we have not really seen the results of their efforts.
I know that when it comes to inflation, the figures, beyond just the figures now, we're looking at the ripple effect. Can you highlight for us some of the ripple effect this will have on the citizens and by also businesses?
Yes, it has serious effects. On the citizens, it means that it's going to erode their purchasing power, means that their expenditure will definitely increase, thereby reducing their ability to save, and also means that they are going to spend a lot of their income on their purchasing items. I mean, if you look at the inflation figure, the major push for the inflation is food inflation. So no one can do without food. That means the average income that is spent on food will definitely increase for the average Nigerian person. In respect of business, as we continue to see increase in inflation, it means that borrowing cost is bound to increase, and definitely the ability for business to source of funds in terms of processing their transaction and meeting their investment in their projects will also be affected. And this also has a great effect on employment, because if businesses cannot borrow to sponsor their project and expand, that means employment will be affected. So it has a ripple effect both on the common man individually and the economy generally.
Nigerian economy, no doubt, is in a dire strait as we speak. Inflation at the rising on a daily basis, affecting every sector of the economy. There seems to be a lot of volatility that the CBN is yet to curtail in the foreign exchange market, and also the policies of this administration is not really faring well on the lives of the average Nigerian and also on businesses. Vincent, let's bring this side by side now. The Fiscal Policy Authority and the Monetary Policy Authority. What do you think they are doing at this point in time that is not right, and how do you think they can right the wrongs to get this economy on the right path?
Yeah, let's take it one by one.
Yes.
In my view, there's not limits to what the CBN can do, tackling some of the things that are causing these inflationary pressures.
All right.
Number one is when you look at food inflation, the major push for food inflation is the insecurity in the food basket region of the northern part of the country that has resulted in increase in food items. The second push is the imported inflation, and that has to do with the forex. So you know that Nigeria is an import-dependent economy. So once there is an increase in the exchange rate, the importation, definitely the prices of importation is going to be increased. That's one of the things that is feeding into both the food inflation and the core inflation, coupled with the earlier subsidy removal that we experienced, which has to do with the fiscal side. So there's a limit to what the CBN, the monetary policy managers are doing their effort to regulate it. But when you look at the forex issue, it's more or less of a supply issue. And so there is a limit to what the CBN can do until we are able to increase supply and mainly from the fiscal end in terms of productive activity. The CBN will do much, but I think there's a limit to what they can do. The CBN governors in the regime have been trying to put on his hat, have been trying all kinds of things to adopt policies to try and increase liquidity in the forex supply. Then we also need much from the fiscal side in terms of resolving these insecurity issues and also try to push for the increased productive activities in the economy. But the good thing I can tell you, one of the good things from the effort so far is that we have seen some close relationship between the fiscal policy managers and the monetary policy manager. Unlike before now, there was no close relationship. So I think that's a positive, but I think we still need to see more in terms of the efforts, the result of the efforts we are making.
All right, nice one there. Now let's stay a little bit more on food inflation now. With the rising prices of food across the country, it's so worrisome that an average Nigerian can no longer afford a 3 square meal. The federal government have said that if they can't salvage the situation of providing food internally, they will go about importing food into the country. I want you to give us more insight to this. If we start importing food into the country, what signal is this sending to investors in any way, and what kind of ripple effect will this have on the agricultural sector holistically? And also, I want us to look at this issue of state government holding food supply across the state. What's your reaction to this, and what should the presidency be doing concerning this?
Yeah, let me start from the last question. In respect to the state government, I think where we are now currently in this country, I think everybody needs to put increased effort from the federal to the state level. The president talking to the state governors to put in more effort in terms of food production and also security in their region. I think it's a good step, and we need more activities, because you can look at it across the belt of this country. There's a lot we can do more in terms of food production. I think we need to increase our ability to provide food for our people. And so the president asking the state governors to do more, I think if they eventually do more, I think it will help in resolving the issues quickly. Then in terms of importation, I don't think we should worry so much about what we import now, because currently we cannot provide food for the people. So if we have to go out to import it to be able to stabilize the current situation, I don't think it's out of place. But the only thing is that we shouldn't depend, solve the short-term situation and not stay there. We will resolve the issues, the pressing issues, then we also make efforts in terms of solving it in the long term, because if you don't do things the right way, it will still be in this situation. And also coupled with the fact that where we are now, we didn't just arrive there. The insecurity in the north has continued unabated for a long time, and that's one of the things that has driven us to this state. So until those issues are resolved, people will continue to avoid the farms, and the more people avoid the farms, the more we'll get less produce from the farm. So we need to be able to secure our land so that people will go back to the farm, as much as also get companies to start doing more of mechanized farming, so that we'll be able to increase our production and feed our people, and possibly export, because if we're able to feed the people and export, we also get forex that we are in need of at this moment.
Inflation is another direction that will lead to the MFISIN meeting that is scheduled to hold next week, the first under the Yemi Cardoso leadership. A lot of analysts are saying that with what we're seeing currently right now, the macroeconomic indices, there is no way that the MPC will not increase interest rates. If for any reason the MPC go ahead to increase interest rate, bring us up to speed as to what ripple effect this will have on the economy. And that's on one side. On the other side, we see for the first time since the history of the central bank that the MPC meeting is coming back to back twice within 2 months. How do you react to this? And do you think that this will in any way bring about the monetary policy adjustment as to issues that has to do with that particular sector?
Yes, it is projected that there will be an increase in rate because when you look at the current the rate, the last time for a while now we have not had the FDC meeting, so
yes,
the rate has remained static. And despite the static nature of the rate, we have seen inflation keep on increasing. So it is expected that the MPC will do something trying to increase the rate, and also increasing rate is also targeted at trying to attract foreign FDIs and FDIs into the country, because with the current rate and the current the MPR and the current inflation, there is a far miles apart. There is a big huge gap between them. So the foreign investors are looking at closing that gap to those to attract them. And when you look at what have been